our media workshop this morning. My name is Salim Kauna. I'm the head of research and analysis at PMRC. So we just encourage you all to interact, give us as much feedback as we need, because this is the first time we're having a media workshop in Southern Province. We've had media workshops across the country, but we haven't really had any in Livingstone, although we've been here to have public lectures before on various occasions. And I think for me personally, it gives me so much pride and joy, because for the first time I get to present in my hometown, which I've not done. And I've been given platforms to present all over the country and out of the country, and nothing in my hometown. So I think for me this is really an opportunity that I cherish so much. And once the proceedings begin, we will try as much as possible to stick to time and also obtain as much feedback as possible. So we're just going to introductions now, just to know who is here, and then we begin our program. So there'll be a microphone that is going to move around. We just want to know who is here amongst us, so that it increases our levels of participation. So just please tell us your name and the institution that you're representing.
I'm Silas Ahmed Kafunda from Zanis. My name is Charles Mongo from June Region.
And I'm Douglas Moore from Choma Radio.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mutundu Sangobe from Vital FM Radio. Joe.
I'm Levan Mandika Banda from ZMBC.
Augustine Temu from Voice of God.
My name is Weber Rufu. I'm from ZMBC. My name is Muswanda Wadia. I'm from ZMBC.
My name is Ajini Simpson. I'm from Passion Nations and as well as an online blog called Choma Daily.
I'm Stella Smith from Standard Radio.
Good morning, Choma Mwale from Zambia.
Good morning, Mike Mwala Manamwale from Radio Central.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Messi, MC being over. I'm sure I'm the only one with that many names. I'm from ZNBC and also the News of Press Bar.
I'm Roy Mswari, Sky Sky.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Asidi Sanga. I'm an interested citizen.
My name is Karike Chris from Radio Sotonia.
We have Mr. Inyumi Malao, communications expert. These are the people that also produce all these nice publications that you see on the table. And then we also have Mr. Sambo Mwila, communications expert as well. And then our executive director will be joining us. She's just outside attending to something as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we go straight into the program in the interest of time. And we begin with our first presentation that just briefly, and I mean briefly, helps us understand what is PMRC. Because maybe for some people it might be the first time they're interacting with PMRC, that is the Policy Monitoring and Research Center. So our head of communications is just going to come and show us briefly who we are, what we do, if we've had any impact whatsoever. So just help me put our hands together for Ms. Melody Simukali as she comes to present about PMRC. Let's invite.
We're very delighted to be here to have the first ever media workshop in the southern part of the country, and this is just the beginning of many to come. In Osaka, we have them we've been having them annually, and also for the first time we had one on the Copper Belt. That was around August last year. So we're very grateful that you've been able to come for this event. So I'll briefly run you through what we do as PMRC, so that from here the media in Southern Province will be able to engage us more, especially that being that we are a resource hub for different policy analysis, different publications related to economic and social development. So the Policy Monitoring and Research Center is a public policy think tank that was established in 2012. And our vision is to unlock Zambia's potential. I'm sure we're asking, how does PMRC ensure that they unlock Zambia's potential? So we do this through producing high quality, relevant and timely public policy analysis, delivering monitoring and different reform proposals that we write up. So our different policy analysis, I'm sure most of you are familiar with them. We analyze almost all the policies that come in place, from government. We'll analyze them and give different recommendations based on our research. We ensure that whatever information we are given out, it's research based. And also we promote and encourage informed debate on social and economic policy issues that are critical to national development. As our vision states, that it's about unlocking Zambia's potential. So these are some of the things that we do as PMRC.
Good morning once again, everyone. The topic I was given is editorial mapping for development journalism. I know that to some of us this is a fairly new topic, and to others it's something that is fairly familiar. To begin by way of introduction, I begin by saying that development journalism has been advocated and practiced in Asia, Africa, and Latin America for more than 5 decades since its debut in the late 1960s. I'm sure only I was born by then, looking at the people that are in here. You mean there's somebody older than me?
Yes, 20 times.
Before 1960?
1960.
Okay, as a result of its age, diversified principles and practices have emerged. And today we're going to look at just one of those diversified principles, and this is the principle of mapping in how we tell our stories. In our discussion, we will look at a journalist's job. I know that you all know what you do, but there is no harm in recapping. We will define mapping from the context of journalism, revisit some theories of development, since we are discussing this in relation to development, then we'll outline the main elements of development journalism, and finally, critically examine how mapping is related to or assists in development communication. A journalist's job is to get to the truth, or at least to the point, so the reader can be more or better informed. Data can help expose facts that help a journalist tell important stories. And sometimes, visualizations in our presentations of the data themselves can tell the story without the narrative. To communicate effectively then, journalists need tools that beneficiaries of their communication find interesting and easy to use. Mapping stories is one such effective tool.
So at this point in time, we go straight on into our next presentation that will be given by the PMRC Executive Director, Ms. Bernadette Teka, and the topic is the role of public opinion in policy formulation and economic development. A round of applause for our Executive Director.
Good morning, friends and colleagues. Good morning, Dr. PMRC Head of Research and Analysis, Mr. Kaunda, and the PMRC team, journalists and colleagues from across Southern Province, we welcome you here in your very town. We are welcoming you. So public opinion plays a serious role in policy making and can have effects on policy outcomes. And public opinion affects policy both positively and negatively depending on the overall general public view on the policy. In today's democratic nations, governments in most instances involve the public for guiding in the formulation and making of government policies, both for laws and regulations. The fundamental representation of democracy is the provision of a method through which public opinion and public policy are dependently and frequently interacted. Now, what is public policy? Before we can even get to what the distinction between public policy and opinion is. So policies are a set of ideas or a plan of what should be done in a particular country when officially agreed to solve an identified issue. So this is what public policy is in Zambia. So policies are what governments use to respond to identified problems. They take the form of a law or regulation, and in some instances, both to govern a particular issue. For example, in society we have gender-based violence, we have child and teenage pregnancies, and we have seen a number of our girls fall out of school. So what is government going to do to make sure that that child who is affected by the said vices gets back into school? Because there are a lot of dynamics around it. There's one, maybe there's no money. That's why that child was put into or forced into a marriage. Not that that should be acceptable, because there's no justification to it. Secondly, a child falls pregnant, the issue of stigma from their friends. What is government going to do about that so that that gap can be taken out and that child goes back to school and performs better? Now this is very, very important and cardinal for yourselves as journalists, my media colleagues, because we are at a time that mindset changing matters in Zambia for us to see development. In our homes, development. In our communities, development. Within our circles, development. For Southern Province, our province, and development in our country as a whole. So what we put on social media or what we report about has a grave impact for the outcome of development.
It should be about what me and you can do. If industries have come up here and I'm a supplier, I know that I'll be able to supply to the value chain. I'll be able to employ 2-3 more people and just fend for ourselves. And that's what the national mindset change calls for, to just build a people that are passionate about their country, away from politics. Passionate about development, passionate about economic growth, passionate about their well-being as citizens of a country. Because a state exists within itself before politics, before anything else. So if we share a common value of being Zambian and of wanting development, this is what we need to inculcate within ourselves. So in view of that, no wonder the president said there is need for a mindset change. And that's why we are also complementing that, because we started this work some time ago to see the human aspect of development and how it can contribute towards development. Quickly, Uganda, what do we see in Uganda? Uganda has a similar program. Away from its politics, Uganda has a national mindset program where Ministries of Education and the universities have partnered to inculcate this change of mindset and promote leadership skills. They're also using it to reduce unemployment by equipping people with skills and showing them how that can work in the economy, and also the issue of moral degradation to create a unified mindset. This is what we find, ladies and gentlemen, in China, in all these countries we admire.
Find in the Auditor General's report. Firstly, is the audit query amount. Now, when we talk about the audit query amount, it's not to say this is monies that have been stolen. No. These are monies that have been found with issues, and these issues are varying. I'll take you through some of these issues that we have. Of course, part of these monies, some are stolen. Those are referred to as misappropriation of funds. I'll get through that. Others are misapplied, meaning they are used for what they were not intended for. Other monies also refer to materials that have been bought by various ministries, and those materials have not been delivered. No follow-up has been made. Other monies, per diems, people go on trips and they do not take back what they did not use. All those monies will appear under what is under query. So that is our query amount. Another significant thing that we look at also is, out of the total budget, out of all the monies that are allocated within the budget, how much of these monies are falling under query? Because that's an important indication for us as an organization. this percentage of the amounts under query should be reducing year on, isn't it? To show that even if the money is increased, the percentage of amounts under query keeps on reducing. So that's an important part. Then the other one, again, we look at the categories. These amounts are put into different categories. Now this is important for us to analyze because it should be a problem if the certain or the same categories keep reappearing year in, year out. It means despite the many recommendations that are being made, despite the many measures that are being put into place, there is no change. If you see amounts constantly being repeated, that means we then have a problem. So if we look at an overview from 2013, the total of amounts that have been under query, and this seems to be changing. From 2013, the amounts were 266 million kwacha, total monies that were under query. 2014, we saw an increase to 549 million kwacha. 2015, this amount went up to 881 million. And for 2016, which is the latest report, this amount reduced to 538 million.
In the past 1 week, my team has been in southern provinces, visited Mazabuka, and I've interacted with the district's officials there and relevant places in Jiga and Qatar, where actually my mother hails from. Thank you, team. Rusangi University was also visited, and there was a public lecture there. In Chikuni, there was some interactions by the team where they explained government policy and also got submissions, especially on the 7th National Development Plan rollout. Choma Trade School was also visited, and Kaloma was visited, Monze. We had also researchers at Livingstone Institute of Business just the other day, where a public lecture was undertaken. Yesterday, my team also visited the David Livingstone College, where a lot of material and a lot of discussion took place. Discussions on various issues, especially on the 7th National Development Plan, and whose aim we are here for. For the past few years, Honorable Minister, the PMRC has continued to host quarterly media workshops, but these have mostly been hosted in Lusaka province. It is only until September 2017 that the organization decided to host a media workshop in Ndola for all Copperbelt-based media houses. The response we received and the turnout at the Copperbelt Media Workshop was overwhelming, as the attendance was above what we had expected. The feedback from the media personnel itself was positive, and for this reason, the organization, rather the center, decided to continue hosting media workshops to build capacity and improve media ethics in different provinces. And we thought the next province, very important and pertinent to the development of this country, was Southern Province, and we thought we come in.
Well spoken. All protocols observed. Honorable Minister, this is my rare opportunity now at this program to call upon you to come and deliver the speech. Thank you very much.
Commissioner for Livingstone, the Executive Director, Policy Monitoring and Research Center, PMRSC, Mr. Kenneth Makungu, Senior Lecturer at University of Zambia, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, distinguished presenters, the media, let's say the audience, because media equals the audience in mathematics, and all protocols observed. Good afternoon to our visitors and welcome to the beautiful city of Livingstone, and it gives me great joy and pride to be part of this very important occasion to to mark the first ever Police Monitoring and Research Center, PMRC, in Southern Province Media Workshop that is being held here in the town of Livingstone under the theme, the role of research and media participation in the development agenda of Zambia. Now, first of all, I just want to share and talk to you as fellow Zambians. First of all, I'm very happy to note that most of you are very young, reasonably young, and at this age, in your 20s, I can imagine, you are busy dealing with a higher level calling. It wasn't common when I was a small boy. When I came to 23, you're more interested in ensuring that you're not a monk. You become a mojo. The only interest was chasing after girls, and that's what really mattered. If you're 22 and your friends had girlfriends and you didn't have one, that amounted to failure. But I think I'm impressed that the dynamics are changing. You have more productive things to do. Or certainly we had. I said the top on the agenda was girls. That was the trouble. If you're rejected, you're sad the whole day. If you get one, then you are happy for the whole week. Everyone can actually see that you got one. But who knows? It may last only 2 months. It may annoy her the next month. And then you are ditched. You are very important stakeholders in the development agenda of this country. And so please do everything possible in your capacity as individuals or institutions that are empowered with disseminating information to always report the truth. Always report the truth. Report what is interesting and not what is important. If it's interesting and important, then that's a very interesting set. But if it's interesting and not important, maybe please give it page 5 if it's in a newspaper. But also you can make an important story interesting. It's just the way you report, isn't it? So please, we are having difficulties with some of the media institutions that specialize in reporting in a tone that is full of hate, and that the only measure of intelligence is belonging to a certain political party. Once you move to the other one, even if you had A+ in calculus, the moment you get to the other party, you're very dumb. I don't believe in that. If I had A+ in physics or communications, like in your case, the moment you move to the other party, certainly you are now at sea or coming back for a rewrite. I don't believe in that. Recently, we've seen relentless reporting both on social media and in the mainstream print and electronic media on issues to do with procurement in this country. I want to make it perfectly clear and known today that the people that are managing procurement in the public sector are those that are entrusted with procurement as part of their job description. I don't have procurement in my job description. I'm a policy level person. And that's why you've invited me, isn't it? We, at provincial level, we have a procurement unit. In the local government system, we have a procurement department. Those are the people who conduct procurement. And there's a procurement committee that is put in place that brings in stakeholders from across sections of society. And in that committee, not even the permanent secretary sits. The permanent secretary only approves what the committee has resolved. So therefore, ministers, the vice president and the president are extremely remote
to the procurement process, extremely remote.